I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's been a crazy year, and I'm sure Melissa's kind of kept you filled in on what we're doing over here. And I'm thrilled to be able to talk to you and just ask you some questions about your experience and kind of see what how Ben and Jerry's franchise owner sees the world of business and marketing, and kind of see what this year's has been like for you. So if you wouldn't mind, can you just give a quick intro to our audience about, who you are, what you do, how you got into it, and that sort of thing?
Sure. Hey, Marc Tate. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. Famous, of course, because of Elvis, right? So whenever I'm giving somebody our time zone, getting the time zone right is important. I always say Central Elvis time, and people tend to remember that. I spent most of my life right out of high school through college working for FedEx, and a lot of different jobs, and ended up for the last many years as managing director over retail. And retail at FedEx meant my job was to get you to drop your package off instead of calling the 800 number and having a driver, courier come to your door. And so about 25% of the volume went through the drop-off network. The little drop boxes on the corner, a FedEx service center. Back then it was Kinko's, was a separate organization. And then you can drop it off at the post office and Walgreens and all those other places.
Now remind me again, did FedEx buy Kinko's, or was that an internal?
Yes. So I set that relationship up and managed it for 16 years. And then it got too big. And the became way too important to both organizations. Actually, it was interesting story unto itself. But so then FedEx bought Kinko's and it renamed it to FedEx Office.
Okay.
Yeah. So I left there. I didn't want to move anymore. I wouldn't moved around with FedEx. Really didn't want to work for another big company. I'd done that. Had not done a small thing. So my dad had also retired from FedEx, and so we said, what can we do together? Started looking around and decided to various things. Ended up with buying the rights for the Ben & Jerry's franchise for the Memphis market. And the plan was to open a store every year for 5 years, then run them for 10 to 15 years, and then sell them. And we were right on the right glide track until the first recession hit. You remember that one about 9 or 10 years ago?
12 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. And so we had 4 stores open, ended up closing 3. The one here in East Memphis turned out to be the one that was the most productive and stable. And so we've made a go of it. And so been in the Ben & Jerry's business now. It'll be 16 years in July. And
you have partners, or is it just you?
Well, my dad's still my partner. He's 87, and
nice.
I just give him updates on the phone. But we actually built the stores together. We did a lot of the construction ourselves, and
that's cool.
We managed them together. But he's just watching me now. And I'm pretty active in the franchise community, particularly for Ben & Jerry's. Okay. There's an advisory council. Most franchise organizations have an advisory council.
Yeah.
This is I was on it about 12 years ago for a couple of years, and I'm just finishing my first year, and I've been appointed on it again for the next year. And that's been a great experience. I couldn't have gotten any luckier to be on the advisory council during this pandemic.
And who else is on that council? Like, what does it look like? There
are 12 other Ben & Jerry owners.
Okay.
Some own 1 store, some own 4, 5, 6 stores. And they're either on for a 2-year period or a 1-year period, depending on how they get on there. Some are, I was put on it by the corporation. They get to pick a few spots, and then there's a general election each year where the franchisees can vote on who they want on there. And we're in the central region, which there's very few Ben & Jerry's in the central. You think of the central time zone.
Yep.
Most ice cream stores, and particularly Ben & Jerry's, are most successful either on the East Coast or the West Coast. Population density and tourism.
Yeah, I was kind of
really
shocked
helps.
that we don't have one here in Kansas City. I mean, I was really surprised. I'm curious if someone owns the rights to that or what.
I actually used to know the owner. Went through a couple training things with her, and she had a couple of stores open, but that the Great Recession took those out. It's just a interesting sidebar. That recession took out 50% of all ice cream shops in the United States.
Really?
Yeah. If you think about it, if you're short on cash, you're not necessarily going to go spend the money to take the family to an ice cream store and spend, $5 a person on ice cream, when you could go to your grocery store and for $5 get enough ice cream in a tub for everybody, right? And that's tough. So when money's tight, and particularly during that recession, it was very tight. 50% of all brands, it didn't matter what brand, closed.
Wow, that is shocking.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, so to fast forward to this, what's going on this year? I mean, I know it's got to be a crazy challenge. I know you guys have adapted, or at least we're in the process of adapting to catering being a large part of the business. Tell me about kind of where you're at now and how your team is getting through it in COVID.
It's it has been interesting, but it's been very different than the Great Recession, and with the everything's gone digital, everything's online. Yep. So most ice cream stores closed, at least temporarily, in March, and by April, most were closed. Okay. We were one of about a dozen Ben & Jerry's stores that never actually closed. We pivoted toward reduced hours. So instead of opening, we used to open at 10 o'clock in the morning because that's when the catering calls came in, the birthday cake request.
Same day? Or
sometimes. So to opening during March, April, May, we were opening at 2 and 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon because there was nobody out, and then we would be open for 4 hours in the evening only. And then we expanded our hours back over the summer. The greatest impact for us for this year has been virtually no catering events. That's really been a staple for us here in Memphis. We do lots of corporate events. You've got 100 employees. You want to have an appreciation day. So we come in and either set up inside your building, or we could bring we have what we call a cowmobile, which is our trailer. We set up in the parking lot and make it a party. Well, it doesn't work if everybody's working at home. I mean, how do you do ice cream for people at 100 different locations? Yeah, boy. So that's virtually non-existent this year, not just here in Memphis, but most caterers.
This may be a dumb question, but what about, is in-store pickup a thing? Like, do people order and then come by the shop and just grab it in their car?
That has been our lifeline. So we took all the tables and chairs out immediately in March. And we're lucky we have a really nice patio area. And so customers could get their ice cream and go out on the patio. Most would sit in their cars. Everybody has a hatchback or an SUV. They'd open up the back. Families would back up to each other and open up and, have a social distance little party in the parking lot. And then the other phenomenon, Ryan, is we had started about 2.5 years earlier with the delivery services, Uber, Grubhub, Postmates, right? We had all those. And it was showing an increase every month. It was going up. Well, now it is a phenomenal amount of our business. I know a lot of restaurants and a lot of ice cream in particular have not fully embraced that. It is huge. It's tough on the margins because of all the, you got an additional middleman in there, the delivery partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But for us, it has worked exceptionally well. And we've been very fortunate with that. If you stack rank all the Ben and Jerry stores, we're really at the top of that pyramid in terms of being able to leverage that segment. Mm-hmm. And it's every month it continues to grow.
And how do you promote that? I mean, tell me how you're getting the word out about that.
It's primarily word of mouth. Yeah. It's we do some Facebook and some Instagram, but I've been a midget in that up until about 60 days ago. Okay. What have you learned? What have I learned is that you keep it simple. Yeah. Particularly on all these menus, you have to manage each one of these delivery partners their own menu, and the Ben and Jerry's owners, we talk all the time. We compare notes, and how you present it to the customer is an art in itself that nobody has the keys to that yet. It's all anecdotal at this point on how you should develop your menu and present it. Mm-hmm. Where do you have the options, right? So for example, do you list all the flavors first and then let them choose a cup, a cone, a milkshake, a sundae, or a pint? Or do you list cups and cones and sundaes and have them pick their flavors? Interesting. It is complicated. And what we have learned is you can make it too difficult. You've got to keep it simple. So how many too many options, analysis paralysis, paradox of choice, right? All that. That's right. More options you give somebody, the less likely they are to make a decision. You want the options there, but you don't want to overwhelm them at first. And sometimes we feel like when we're talking to a customer in person, they're at the optometrist. And you know how they go, which is better, one or two? And before you answer, they're saying 3 or 4. And then they're flipping to the other eye and you go, wait, can I go back 2 numbers? Right. I want a small cup. You want what flavor? I want Chunky Monkey. Okay. You want it in a waffle cone cup or a paper cup or a dipped cup or, what do you want? Oh, I just want ice cream. Yeah. I came in only wanting ice cream, but now that I see there's a waffle cone with chocolate sprinkles on it with fudge, I want that. Right. Yeah. And I think the curbside and the on-demand and the e-ordering is not going to backslide. Whatever percent of that's become of our business, I think that's going to be here. And here's another interesting thing. I think you're right. Aware of this, Ryan, is the customer who orders and gets it delivered. I don't think they've ever been to our store. I don't think it's a crossover. And for the second time, we're doing an experiment right now where I'm putting coupons in every bag that goes out for free ice cream cone. If you come to the store and redeem it. You got to come in. Yeah. So I've been doing it again now for a week and a half. How many do you think have come back to the store? I'm going to take a wild guess and say 0. You are exactly accurate there. You are interesting. Right. That is wild. Yeah. We did this system wide and it was the same number. How do people pay? If I order the curbside, do I check out and pay online or do I pay when I'm in the car? If you're and semantics matter here. Yeah. Curbside is very different than on demand. Okay. On demand being getting it delivered by Grubhub or Postmates or something like that. Okay. So the curbside for us and for most food and e-tailers, you go to our website and it says for pickup, and the first time is kind of painful because you have to put in all your information, and you can put in your payment information, and then you pull up, you call us when you're out front, and we run it out to you. If you prefer to pay when you get here, then the same process, except we don't have your payment information yet, and we walk out with a wireless device, and it's all touch you don't have to touch anything, and we get payment by card then.
That's amazing. It's funny. 5 years ago, people would have categorized it everything you're telling me is very similar to what we hear from our quote unquote e-commerce clients. We work with people that sell mattresses, that sell toys, that all sorts of clients. And 5 years ago, you categorize an ice cream shop differently than one of those other clients. But what you just described to me is e-commerce, and it's very similar to the problems that e-commerce vendors face. You put too many options on the checkout page, you're going to scare them away. We talk about conversion optimization and how to increase the conversion rate on carts and cart values. Those are the same things that you're just talking about here.
It really is. And my other hat is I have a couple consulting partners, and we deal with retailers. We deal with customer-facing technologies and how to optimize the customer experience. And we're usually trying to look over the horizon that our client isn't. They don't have time to look that far yet, right? They're still trying to get the order out that they took 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to, how do you remove the friction?
Yeah.
Where are the little rough points? And like I said, entering your customer information the first time.
Yeah.
Right. You're in a hurry. You don't want to do that. Someone's going to figure that out to where once you have it, you can just, and PayPal, I guess, has, and some of the others where you can just say pay by this method, and that'll work. But it's amazing.
Does corporate manage that all for you? I mean, does the website, the checkout process and all that, Ben & Jerry's corporate provide that for you guys?
Yes. And excuse me. So that is something that the advisory council was very much involved in, on how that would look and feel, because again, what's the presentation? How much local customization will there be? And we're fortunate that in our organization, we have a standardized cash register. It's not a cash register, but our platform is standardized, and there are some of the really large QSR chains where they have multiple platforms. You can choose this platform or this brand or this brand, and it makes it very difficult then for corporate to be able to support all that. Yeah. So we made a conscious decision a number of years ago. Okay, we're all going to do this together, and that made it possible. So our corporate people, and Ben & Jerry's is really pretty small. I mean, we're owned by Unilever, which is massive, but Ben & Jerry's corporate is like 90 people. I mean, it's small, and they were able to roll out this curbside pickup for us in less than 40 days.
That's pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive. It peaked. April, May, we saw the most of that. And then the numbers came down. But in the last week or so, curbside is starting to go back up. Most customers who want curbside still just call us when they're on their way and say, I want, 2 milkshakes, X and Y. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'll call you when I'm there. And then we have a portable payment device that we go out in the parking lot.
Is any of that business corporate, or is it mostly consumer driven?
Right now, it's just almost all consumer. There's just not enough people in the same building. Yeah. It's pretty common. Remember the old phrase, "I'll buy if you fly," and you'd go pick up beverages or food or burger. Well, that's pretty common, and people will send one person with a list and go back to the office, but there's nobody there right now. So it's what we see now is one person comes in for a family, and they may have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items that they're taking back to the house. Yeah,
interesting. Well, so what does post-COVID look like for Ben & Jerry's franchise owner? I mean, are you guys kind of starting to get ready for spring. I would imagine that in the ice cream space is fairly seasonal.
It is.
January, February, maybe slower time, making a guess here. Coming into March and April, things maybe start ramping up. What are you doing now to get ready for that?
Well, ice cream is hugely seasonal, depending on your climate.
Yeah.
Much more so in New England than Southern California.
Yeah.
Here in Memphis, we're involved with a number of other Ben & Jerry's owners. We're actually, trying to do some reimagining on how things will be, because we anticipate, at least the first half of 2021 may not be dramatically different than what we've been through the last 2 quarters.
Yeah.
So how are we going to optimize that? But at the same time, recognizing that as the vaccination rate increases and people do start getting back into their more comfortable areas, and we start having people back in offices, that there may be some pent up demand for social gatherings. Mm-hmm. And so, we're staying in touch with our best customers, letting them know we're still here and we can accommodate them. And we have developed some very safe ways to bring ice cream to customers. There's still people out there, and in fact, we have gained several very large customers during COVID, because we were one of the few organizations that could bring ice cream to their location and hit all the protocols. One of my biggest customers this entire pandemic episode so far has been our local health department.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they've come in here and inspected us for years. We have a great relationship with them. The directors, those poor people have worked unknown hours. They've had to expand. They've had to add new locations. And they called us, and we were able to provide ice cream to every one of their employees. And we've had several other locations, several food manufacturers, one of the most well-known hospitals in the world. We've taken ice cream to them twice. They have 3,000 employees. So we've made some progress in some really big accounts. And we think that will be a little bit of a foreshadowing that there's some pent up demand. There's pent up money, perhaps, in some of these corporations where they haven't spent money on employee events.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to stay top of mind.
Yeah.
And we're really putting a lot more emphasis on our social media. I recently hired a college student who has a really passion for this and is really good photographer. And she's working for me remotely and doing all my web posts, all the Facebook, all the Instagram. And she's only been at it for about 6 weeks now, but the number of responses has been phenomenal. So I'm confident that as that grows, or she gets more experience. And then I've also reached out, and right after the first of the year, we've set up a Zoom meeting series for all the other Ben & Jerry's shops who have I call them a social media guru.
Okay.
And so we're going to get together at least once a month on a Zoom call and compare notes.
Yeah.
If it works here, it'll probably work in Spokane.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And
that's the beauty of a franchise model, right? You guys are all sort of in the same space.
It is when you can get everybody's attention.
Yeah.
And we recognize that once business is really bustling, we may not have that opportunity. So we're scheduling a lot of extra calls. We're doing a lot of peer-to-peer training now because the owners have time.
Yeah. Has the remote or just how has communication changed inside of the organization? Like, how many team members do you have there in Memphis?
Oh, let's see. I just made a list of this. We have 11 right now.
You got 11 people,
which is pretty small. I am so blessed that we have almost no turnover. We have we just kind of have a model for what works for us as an ideal employee. And we're able to we typically hire people coming out of high school or entering college, and then try to keep them during their college career. And so then if you get somebody for 4 or 5 years, that's just phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super busy and you probably got a bunch of things to do there. So I will wrap it up. I was really interested to kind of get back in touch with you. Working with your daughter has been great. We've known each other for a long, long time, and pretty excited for what they've got happening in their lives. So that's pretty neat. She told us all about that recently. So I'm pretty excited, and you deserve congratulations for that as well. So that's
well,
pretty cool.
She certainly found her niche. I mean, she enjoys working with you and your team, and invariably when she and I talk, we get off on business and your business and how where the overlaps are, and
yeah.
And I'm pretty optimistic. I tell people I'm cautiously optimistic about the future.
Yeah.
I know there's some tough times ahead for a lot of food and beverage operators right now.
Yeah.
But if they can make it probably for the next 90 days, maybe things will improve. But it's going to be, it won't ever go back to the way it was.
Yeah. It's interesting. I read an article not too long ago. I think it was in The Economist, and it was about, it was comparing the situation that we're in today with the Spanish flu and how that impacted the Roaring '20s. And the writer, was making the case that, post-pandemic, that we should prepare for another Roaring '20s. There's going to be, like you said, so much pent-up demand. People are going to want to, live their lives, and it's going to be. I'm more optimistic, I think, now than I have ever been, because in 6 months, when things go back to normal, it's going to be insane. So
all right, let me see if these numbers work for you. According to some research I just saw, about 35% of everybody surveyed reports eating more snack food.
Oh yeah. That seems low to me. 35%.
About 35%, and of that 35%, about 30% said they want the good stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Right. Which is great when you're selling a super premium ice cream.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of my concerns is everybody's going to start a diet when this is over with.
Nah.
I hope that we've got them hooked, and because it's amazing. You expect people, they say, oh, I go to Starbucks every day. You don't think anything about it. Yeah. Somebody says, I go to Starbucks twice a day. You don't think anything about it.
Yeah.
But we have customers who come every day. And, you can't look at them and go, oh, I can see, look at the way they look. No, that's not how you can tell. And so I'm hoping that people have adjusted their lifestyle to be able to indulge safely and keep us at the top of the mind, even when they're not stress eating.
Nice. That's a good way to look at it. Well, okay. So we do this little thing when we wrap up interviews, just real quick, rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions. So first question, what's the best book you've read this year?
Oh, anything by Tom Clancy. I love a good mystery. And nice. My favorite series right now is the Bosch Detective series
Okay.
That's good. All right.
Okay, cool. Who are your sports teams? Baseball?
No.
No team. What about college football?
Football, I'm pulling for the Redskins because both my son-in-laws are addicted to them, and they need all the pull they can get.
Well, good. We're Alex Smith fans here in Kansas City. We love him. He's awesome. All right. What about Facebook or Instagram? If you had to pick, which one are you taking?
Facebook.
Okay. After this thing is all over and you get the itch to travel again, where are you going? Where's the one place you want to go?
Virginia.
That's a great answer. Great answer. Have you not been? You haven't been up there since this whole thing started, have you?
We since last Christmas, we made one trip at Thanksgiving. We didn't. we stayed away. We were outside. We didn't touch anybody.
Yeah.
There was a new grandbaby that we looked through, from 20 feet away, and no plans to go back, I guess, until this is under control.
Oh, man. Well, I hope you get to go soon.
Yeah.
I hope we get to go soon. I haven't been up there yet. So we're looking forward to that as well. Well, Mark, I appreciate the time.
All right. I want you to buy a big motorhome.
Okay.
And make it available for your employees, because that's my next thing is I want this motorhome to be able to take trips.
That's a heck of an idea. That's a great idea. That'd be a tax deduction too.
It could be if depending on how you set it up. But I think you could have a company road show where you take it on tour and you go visit your clients. And
as long as we can sell Ben and Jerry's ice cream out of the back, I'm in.
I say no. You'd have to give it away back there. That's right.
All right.
Thank you,
cool.
Ryan.
Well, Mark, I appreciate the time. Hey, take care of yourself. Have a great holiday and be safe.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. See you.